were you a wrestling fan growing up?
No, absolutely. We used to go to the Armory on Tuesday nights. God, I remember it was packed and it was hot, and we'd watch Eddie Graham and the Great Malenko, and I mean, it was awesome. I remember this one time particularly that the Great Malenko was going to fight Eddie Graham, and it was I think it was a loser leave town match or something like that, and Malenko had this alarm clock for some reason, and it was ticking, and finally at the end he said, "And Eddie Graham, let me tell you, when this alarm goes off, your time is up and you are out of Tampa." And he hit a button or something in his deep Russian voice, and the alarm clock went ding. He said, your time is up. And it was just like when we were kids, it was magic. Oh God, Dusty Rhodes, all the guys, Jack Briscoe, all the guys. It was a blast.
So what part of Florida did you grow up at?
Tampa.
Tampa, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you, I guess as a little kid, know that you wanted to be a wrestler when you grew up, or was that something that you didn't know until you got older?
Well, to tell you the truth, a lot of people don't know this. First time I went to Big People's Church, the sermon was on the power of prayer. So I remember sitting on that front row, and the pastor was really dynamic, and he said, if you're an earnest and a righteous person, God's going to answer your prayer. And as a kid, I thought, wow, that's pretty heavy. I really like that. And I was about 9.5, 10 years old, and I thought, well, got home, anxious to get home. Did I want $1 million? Kept going all through my head. What did I want to pray for? And I got, what are they going to do with a 9 or 10-year-old with $1 million? I go to the bank and wouldn't know what to do. And then I love Corvettes. I didn't know if I wanted a red one or a blue one, so I prayed. I'll pray for 2 of them. And then I thought, man, I don't have a driver's license. I can't drive. And finally, bingo, it hit me. I knew what I wanted to pray to be. So I got down, closed my eyes, got on my knees, and I said, Dear God, please make me Superman. I want to be Superman. So I prayed to be Superman, and I'd look in the mirror and nothing had happened. About a year goes by, I tell Billy Kopinski and this guy on my block, and he says, oh, you're a fool, man. Superman lives on TV. He wears a costume, and man, that'll never happen. So lo and behold, what happens? I never got the red cape. I used to hit my head against the wall. It still hurt. I'd look at my muscles. They'd never grow. I couldn't fly. I'd jump off the bed. Nothing would happen. And But lo and behold, I got to run the ring ropes like a speeding bullet. I was able to leapfrog a man with a single bound. I was able to have a 300-pound man jump on my chest, and I'm here to live to tell you about it today. And I did wear a costume. It just happened to be black and yellow. So the moral of the story is be careful what you pray for. You just might get it.
That's true. What was your college background growing up?
Well, you asked me too right before that, Rob, what motivated me to be a professional wrestler. My mom and dad, a lot of people don't know, they got divorced when I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, right in there, and I fell in love with wrestling, and I fell in love with Jack Briscoe. He was my hero. And one day I got caught taking food stamps to the grocery store. We were getting Spam, powdered eggs, all these things in school, and it was really, a drag. And I wanted to go to the USAVE, and Sly Avenue was real busy, and I would have had to cross Sly Avenue. My mom didn't want me to go. So I said, Mom, please let me go to the grocery store. I want to go to the grocery store. And she said, son, I just don't want you to cross the road. It's too busy. And then one day she said, you want to go to the grocery store? And I said, she said, all by yourself. And I said, yeah, man, I was excited. So I was excited to go to the grocery store. That was that big of a deal, after eating the prunes and Spam, I'm going to get me some chicken. And I went to the grocery store, and but before I did, I'm waiting for the money, and she hands me these coupons, and she said, son, these are food coupons. You give these to the lady, and she's going to give you a voucher back, a little piece of paper. And I said, okay. Didn't set too good, but I didn't say anything. Went through the grocery store, got some other things that I wanted that she allowed me to get, and I get in the line, and Steven Epperson, who was a 6th grader then, I was a 5th grader, and 2 of these big bad bully redneck guys were in line with him, and they just wanted to. When I pulled out, the lady asked me for the money. I gave her the food stamp coupons, and boy, they started in on me. And I just walked and left the store. Didn't say anything, didn't tell my mom. The next day I go to the store. This was at Egypt Lake Elementary School. And my mom dropped me off about 100 yards. I'd always kiss my mom. I love my mom so much. She lives in my guest house. But I kissed my mom. She'd send me $10 to get in college too all the time so we could go to White Castle, Crystal, thinking about all those old times now. But she kissed me. I got out of the car, started walking toward the school, and there's a big congregation of people all in front of Egypt Lake Elementary School. And I went and I just about got there, and they go, "Look, there he is, there he is, there he is." And I heard people laughing, and I looked, and it said, "Blair is a," I don't even want to repeat the words. They were so bad, so I started crying, and I ran all the way home. I mean, I was just sick, like puking sick. And Mr. Agliano, he was a 6th grade teacher there. Well, he also taught some of 5th grade because I had one of his classes, but he was a predominantly 6th grade teacher because I had him the next year too, I remember. And he talked me into going back, and the next day he said, you just got to follow wise counsel. You got to pick out something you want to do. Just study hard. You're a good athlete, and maybe you'll be an athlete someday. Maybe you'll be an astronaut. I don't know, but you just keep going straight and do the best you can. And he had the words of wisdom that really put the desire and the discipline and the dedication in me. I saw Jack Briscoe on television, and I knew right then I wanted to be a wrestler.
Wow. So you went on to college too, right?
Yes, I did, on football scholarship. I was originally going to go to University of Tampa, and they folded football because the Buccaneers came, and we would have played on Saturday nights, and they had competition on Sunday nights. And there's all kinds of conspiracy theories about why the Tampa Spartans disappeared, where Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, John Matuzak, Leon McQuaid, my good friend Freddie Solomon, all these guys played that were like heroes. I used to actually sell sodas in that stadium when I was a kid.
Wow. How did you actually get into the wrestling business? At what point did you make the transition?
Buddy Colt was a neighbor in the apartments I was in, and he knew that I was an amateur wrestler and a football player and an athlete. He needed a babysitter one time, and he asked me to babysit, and I babysit his kids and got to be friends. And I met Jack and Jerry Briscoe, and they kind of knew my situation, that I didn't have a lot of money, and they found some odd things for me to do. I think I waxed Jack's blue Lincoln Continental and washed it one time, and then they started going to my amateur wrestling matches, and Eddie came, Eddie Graham, and Michael and Steve Kern, and those older guys. And every summer, right after my senior year of high school, I would go down and get stretched by Malenko, Hiro Matsuda, and a host of others, until I finally, being an amateur wrestler only is dangerous when you're around submission wrestlers.
Right.
So you set yourself up to be either double wrist locked or front face locked or whatever. Yeah, it was brutal. I remember one day, Hiro. The first 2 days I puked all over. I mean, I puked terrible, Rob, and it was horrible. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know how bad I want to be a wrestler, because back then they made you go through the mill. Of the 3 summers that I trained there, only 3 people made it, and that was myself. I was first Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, then myself and Hulk Hogan, and a bunch of other guys that are now in the business broke in somewhere else or came back and broke in with Hiro. But the 3rd day, I remember I got done with everything, all my Hindu squats, my push-ups, my wrestling with Hiro. He knew I was drained. I rolled out onto the floor, and he just stared at me, and I didn't know what he was going to say. I was petrified of the man. And he kicked me in the shoulder. He goes, "Hey, young boy, why you no puke?" I said, "Well, Mr. Matsuda, to tell you the truth, I haven't eaten since the last time I threw up." And he started laughing, and ever since then, he liked me, and man, it was off to the races.
Did he actually try to break your ankle at one point?
That was Hogan. He tried to break everybody's ankle.
Right.
Yeah, that was his deal. I mean, you had to fight for your life, and all the people that wanted to be wrestlers would come in after we were ready. They thought we were ready, and they would put us to, with the guy that wanted to wrestle Dusty Rhodes, for example, Buddy Colt, his wife's, I guess it's his brother-in-law, because his wife's brother used to beat his wife up and his mom up, and I mean, this guy was crazy, and he came in and he wanted to wrestle Dusty Rhodes. He wanted a top match and all this. And they said, well, you go beat up the young kid Brian Blair first, and if you beat up Brian Blair, then you can have a match with Dusty Rhodes. So he wound up leaving. I remember Blackjack Mulligan was coming in, and he was left without his clothes, without anything, bleeding like crazy. And Blackjack said, God damn, he says, I don't know what you did, but, excuse me, Lord, but I don't think that guy's going to be back. And it was kind of funny, in Blackjack's own way. So.
What was the biggest misconception you had on the business before you broke in?
That it was fake, because it's not fake. We all know that there's generally, although I've been in a lot of serious, 6 shoots, what we call shoots, serious fights, and but there's a predetermined ending. But you don't get 300 stitches on your hand and bottles stabbed in your hand and your thumb all dislocated like that, and 3 fingers that won't close. And, I've had a knee replacement, and but actually, that's the best thing in the world. That's I can actually catch, because I mentor kids and coach baseball, so I can actually catch the pitchers now, which is great. And, I've had so many stitches through my chin, my eyes. I don't know how many. It's definitely a brutal sport. And while I'm talking about that right now, Rob, these guys that are doing what they're doing right now, they don't realize when they get to be 40, 45, 50 years old, they're going to be hurting, because, I mean, I flew sometimes, but it was under control. You got a guy like Mick Foley who really started all that, set the bar higher and higher and higher until it's at that stage where, they're finally backing down, realizing that there's no life. These guys are going to be hurting.
Without a doubt. I guess when you were training, how much of the business was kayfabe to you at that point? Did they open up to you and then expose the business to you, or were you pretty much left in the dark for a little bit?
No, it was all kayfabe. Everything was kayfabe, right up until the rib they pulled on me when before my junior year of college. I didn't go back because they allowed me to referee in Jacksonville, and Don Curtis, God bless him, and his wife Dottie is wonderful people, and Eddie Graham needed somebody to referee, so there was Angelo Poffo and the Wolfman were wrestling each other in like the preliminary match, so they sent me out there to referee, and I said, well, what do I do? And they said, well, you wrestle when the shoulders are down, count to 3. So I said, okay. So you've seen them, if they got 10 to break on the ropes, and they gave me the rules. And so anyway, somebody put their shoulders down, I counted to 3, and they got up and they both grabbed me and they said, you dumb son of a, you really messed the match up. I can't believe you did this. And I mean, they made me feel about this big, and I knew they told me my career was over. I mean, the boys had it all set up. And so when I got back, they were all there laughing like crazy, and I took it like a man.